Good morning, sir, and good morning, classmate. What we are going to discuss to you is all about the doctrine of balanced growth. The idea of balanced growth has been interpreted differently, meaning there are several possible meanings and interpretation. And the meaning of balanced growth is the growth rate of capital stock is equal to the output growth rate. And the importance of balanced growth in the life of business or businesses is makes the possible a better use of natural resources in a region. Balance is required between the demand and supply side. And if hindi siya equal sa demand and supply, nagkakaroon tayo ng the law of demand and supply, which is if the price increases, supply rises while demand declines. And conversely, as the price drops, supply constricts while the demands grow. Kung mapapansin nyo, kung madaming demand or madaming supply, mas nalaklaka the prices na. And if maliit yung demand at supplies, dun yung nagkakaroon tayo ng mas mahal yung mga prices. The supply side lays emphasis on simultaneously development of all interrelated sector, which help in increasing the supply of goods. It includes simultaneously and harmoniously development of intermediate goods. And the example of intermediate goods are for example, the baker salt na dati baker mo, kailangan ti salt, di ba? And hindi ka makakagawa ng mga bread kung walang salt. So, yung company ng salt, di ka gumatang tano, agkaroon ka ti, or tapno dati usarib nga salt kundi di aramidem nga bread. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng interrelated to other businesses. Raw materials, for example, are the steel, oil, corn, grain, gasoline, and lumber na ginagamit natin sa pang-araw-araw nating pamumuhay. Power, agriculture, irrigation, transport, and all industries producing consumers good. Consumers good yung mga pangangailangan ng mga tao. The demand side relates to the provision for a larger employment opportunities and increasing incomes, which mean pag nakakaroon tayo ng demand at adto greater nga possibilities nga trabaho tayo ken mas na-increase yung incomes natin kasi mas madaming bumibili sa mga product natin. So that the demands for goods and services may rise on the part of the people. The demand side is related to supplementary industries, consumer good industries, especially agriculture and manufacturing industries. The theory of balanced growth states that there should be simultaneous and harmonious development of different sector of the economy so that all sectors grow in unison. Which means parang walang naiiwan. Ang lahat ng mga businesses grow. The doctrine of balanced growth has been advocated by tao nga nag-advocate balanced growth. Rothstein, Rodan, Ragnar Nertz, and Arthur Lewis. Sila yung mga taong naniniwala or mga may mga theory about sa balanced growth.
Explanation of the theory. Rosenstein-Rodan was the first economist who propounded the theory of balanced growth without using these words in his 1943 article. His main contention is that often SMP or social marginal product of an investment is different from its PMP or private marginal product. The social marginal product is the total net product of physical things or objective services due to the marginal increment of resources in any given use or place. And when a people of industries is planned together in accordance with their SMPs, the rate of growth of the economy is greater than it would have been otherwise. This is because an individual entrepreneur is interested only in the private marginal product of investment and is not likely to have an accurate assessment of its social marginal product. Rosenstein-Rodan gives a number of examples where the social marginal product of an investment is greater than its private marginal product. It is complementarity of different industries which leads to the most profitable investment from the standpoint of the society. The most example of this is the shoe factory and a market for shoes. If instead a whole series of industries were started which produce the consumption goods on which workers would spend all their incomes. All the industries' complementary system of industries would reduce the risk of not being able to sell their products and would lead to a large-scale planned industrialization. This very idea has been developed and elaborated by Ragnar Nerks in his thesis. According to Nerks, vicious circles of poverty are at work in underdeveloped countries, which retard economic development. If, however, they are broken, economic development will follow. The vicious circles operate both on the supply side and the demand side. The vicious cycle meaning a continuing unpleasant situation created when one problem causes another problem that then makes the first problem worse. How to break this circle? By enlarging the market. Market size can be enlarged by monetary expansion, by, by salesmanship and advertising, by abolishing trade restriction, and by expanding the economic infrastructure.
It can also be widened either by reductions in prices, money incomes remaining constant, or by an increase in money incomes while keeping prices constant. This implies increase in productive efficiency and real income. In underdeveloped countries, market is not large enough to permit productions on a scale that may lead to reductions in costs. Inelastic consumer demand, technical discontinuities, and lack of enterprise keep down the demand of capital. Therefore, the only way out of this impasse, according to Nerks, is more or less synchronized applications of capital to wide range of different industries. The doctrine of balanced growth requires a balance between different sectors of the economy during the process of economic growth. To sum up, in the words of Lewis, in development programs, all sectors of the economy should grow simultaneously so as to keep a proper balance between industry and agriculture and between productions for home consumptions and productions for export. The logic of this proposition is an as saleable as its simplicity.
Criticism of the doctrine of balanced growth. The doctrine of balanced growth has been severely criticized by Hirschman, Singer, Kohihara, and others on the following grounds. Number 1. The rise in costs. 2. No attention to reducing costs. 3. Fails as a theory of development. 4. Behind of the capabilities of UDIs or the universal decimal classification, which means ito ay kumakatawan sa sistematikong pagsasaayos ng lahat ng sangay ng kaalaman ng tao na inorganisa bilang isang magkakaugnay na sistema kung saan ang mga larangan ng kaalaman ay magkakaugnay. Next, disproportionality in factors, shortage of resources, wrong assumption of increasing returns, capital lumpiness not essential for development. Next, balanced growth not essential for induced investment. Does not consider planning, and the last is scarcities and bottlenecks encourage growth.
And that's all. Thank you guys for listening. And see you next week.